Hello, and welcome to part 6 of the Markham Middle School Library Orientation. Today we are going to talk about plagiarism versus copyright infringement. Two long and fancy words you might have heard before. You might even know that there's something bad, but you might not know exactly what they mean. So let's talk about it. What is plagiarism? Plagiarism is when somebody takes somebody else's work or ideas and tries to pass it off as their own, and they don't give any credit to the original source. We all know how we would feel if we had done something great, if we had written a great paper or drawn a beautiful picture and somebody copied it and pretended that it was theirs. That's not cool, so we don't ever want to plagiarize. We always want to cite the source. It's not technically against the law, but you can get some very harsh academic consequences, all the way from failing that particular assignment to getting thrown out of the school if it is a higher level institution. Now, you might be wondering, why would students put themselves in this horrible predicament? Let's talk about some of the reasons why students plagiarize. Number 1. These particular students might not have learned the appropriate way to cite sources. So therefore, they may not cite their source and they might get in trouble for it. Number 2, the advent of the internet has made plagiarism very tempting and easy. You can cut and paste, or you can just buy a term paper online. Not good ideas, either of them. Number 3, sometimes students are desperate and they are not able to handle all the pressures of home, work, and family, and out of desperation, they plagiarize. Here are some interesting statistics about plagiarism. Almost 80% of college students admit to cheating at least once. 36% of undergraduates have admitted to plagiarizing written material, and 90% of students believe that cheaters are never caught, or they have not been appropriately disciplined. Let's talk about copyright law. Copyright law are the rights that an author gains in order to control their work, how it is used, reproduced, distributed, or displayed. Some examples of copyright could include a song, any type of literary work, a movie, or a photograph. Is copyright infringement against the law? So let's go back to the last slide really quickly. The last slide says if you use, reproduce, distribute, or display a certain work without permission, that these might be punishable under the law. You might be given a heavy fine or an injunction. Let's talk about images. So, if you're going to get an image for your report, you should probably go to a free site, a free image hosting site, and you can get free images off that particular site. So, the copyright law of 1978 says that the person that produced the image has copyright protection. They can sell, copy, distribute, or reproduce the image, but if anybody else does so for the entire lives of that person, as well as an additional 70 years, it might be punishable under the law. Some examples of both plagiarism and copyright infringement. Let's use a similar case. Let's say a student has to do a report about India. So an example of plagiarism would be if the student copies a few sentences for the report, but they don't provide a citation, therefore making it look like it is their original work. Copyright infringement would be if a student, let's say, copies the entire chapter and turns it in as their essay. Now, even if they cite the sources, it still breaks copyright law, which says that you are not allowed to reproduce an item in its entirety. Plagiarism can also fall under copyright law if a court decides it. So, this concludes our presentation about plagiarism versus copyright law. Both of these are very serious. I know you guys have a lot of papers to write and a lot of essays to do, so if you are curious and you just want to double check that you are avoiding plagiarism or copyright infringement, you can always bring your paper to Ms. Dev. Thank you so much, and let's go on to Section 7 of the Markham Library orientation. Here are my sources that I used to make this presentation.